Welcome back, everyone, to my third episode of After the Play Ends, Hanging the Cleats Up. This is my Zoom series where I talk to retired collegiate athletes about their transition out of their sport and what they're struggling with because of that transition. And today I am joined here with Miranda McNalley, and she was my goalkeeper for Piedmont for 3 years. So we also know each other very well, just like my last Zoom guest, Gabby Lauder. So we all played together, very familiar, and I'm super excited to get her opinion on her struggles and what she went through after stopping her sport. So, Miranda, I'll give you the stage. You can introduce yourself and tell us how you got into playing soccer.
So I'm Miranda. So I actually started soccer when a little older, I guess, than most people. I was 7 years old and I started playing at the recreational level. And I was like playing on the field, doing all the positions, I guess, like the little kids do. And then when they started to introduce goalkeepers, I guess I volunteered and I was pretty good. So I started going to goalkeeper sessions and I just kept going. And when I got older and older, um, I was playing goalkeeper and then also a forward. So I do miss my goal scoring days. But then
Mm-hmm.
as I got older, I had to kind of specialize in goalkeeping. And then surprisingly, I'm really glad that I played in college because I loved the experience at Piedmont.
Mm-hmm. I think it's so funny that you said volunteered for goalkeeper because, like, I feel like every little kid, everyone's coach was like, get in, you're the goalie for this game. So it's so good to, like, know that you stuck with it because it's usually just something people are or like kids are so scared of doing,
Uh-huh.
um which is so fun. But you mentioned Piedmont, so how was your days playing on the Piedmont women's soccer for you?
It was great. So I was, going in very quiet, kind of shy, reserved freshman. Um, and I actually, I guess, got the starting goalkeeper position as a freshman. And obviously, I was very nervous. It's kind of a lot to take in as a freshman. I have all these older girls, that have been on the team that have like played so many games and the team dynamic and all of the girls on the team, they made it easy to, just go into the team, develop that leadership and, get into the position. I'm a quiet person in nature, but as the years went on, I kind of stepped more into that leadership role and was, I guess, more louder on the field to my teammates, as they would say.
Yes, it's super interesting to hear too about how like you were able to get such a high leadership position as a freshman, and I feel like that'll be an interesting outlook to think about when I ask you my next question, which is like what you have struggled with the most after finishing or after completing college soccer,
Mhm.
and moving on from college soccer, since you had such a big role to play. How was that for you, just moving on from your sport?
So, it was tough. uh, Losing the team dynamic and being in the college atmosphere, surrounded by your teammates, your friends, you're living on campus. Moving back home now, when you still stay in contact with like some of your teammates, friends from college, they don't live like right next to you or across from you. They live like hours away or even states away. So I probably the closest people I still stay in contact are like 2 hours away, which is pretty far. So I see them once in a while, but I guess, like the social aspect, being close and then being far. Also, I've played soccer since I was 7 and playing throughout college and then stopping, it was pretty tough. However, I was lucky enough. I do have a adult co-ed team that I do play on every week. So I go out there and I play. It's competitive, so I get at least one night a week to play soccer still. Very lucky for that.
Yeah.
But I guess just, the social aspect is definitely one of the ones that I guess personally I've struggled with the most. just with what I majored in was sports and fitness administration. So I would like to go into the sports industry, and that's very tough, I guess right outside of college. I am still not in the industry that I want to be, but I have gotten some experience. But hoping to continue to get more experience in that and hopefully get my dream job. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So this is my Zoom series where we talk about basically retired athlete struggles in order to give current athletes advice and hopefully guidance to how they can help combat their struggles when they eventually face them. So I think that's super interesting to talk about like the team dynamic leaving, because my first episode, my guest's main struggle was mental health and finding a new passion. And my second Zoom series episode was injury and how she faced life after her injury. So it's really interesting to get your perspective, which is losing a team dynamic, which I don't think enough people talk about how hard that is. Like you go from being around girls and your best friends 24/7 to having to find a new community. And that's so, so tough. So what advice would you give to people going through the same thing and helping them try to find a new community or try to fill that void that's
Yeah.
now there?
Um, I would say, you can't. Not going to play soccer all my life. No one, I guess, can play soccer all their life.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I would say, maybe like for me, I was lucky enough to have a co-ed team that I joined a couple years ago when I was out of college, and I still get to play, but obviously it's not the same as the college atmosphere and stuff.
Mhm.
Advice, I would say hobbies are a big thing. Obviously soccer was a big hobby, but post college, like a lot of people go into their profession and it might not deal with soccer. So I coach, which also helps with staying around the sport on the other side of the lines, but some people don't coach. So definitely I would say, I mean, going off of the hobbies, find something that you're passionate about, like you found that passion with soccer,
Yeah.
and try and explore that, and be open to going outside your comfort zone, which I have done a lot, and like meeting new people, and you're going to be in different environments, so being able to like meet new people and adapt to that is definitely a biggie. So,
Yeah. I think getting out of your comfort zone is a common theme that my other Zoom guests had talked about. I think that's such an important thing because you're so comfortable playing soccer for so long. Like you know like what's gonna you know the deal. So
mhm.
it's definitely different getting out of your comfort zone when you don't have that. So great point that you brought up. And before we get into our next topic, quick reminder to my audience listening that this is my Zoom series after the play ends, hanging the cleats up, and this is my third episode, and I'm joined with Miranda McNalley, excuse me. um, and now I want to talk about, since we mentioned the team dynamic and what you struggled with, I'd love to mention or and talk about open the discussion about how coaching has helped you have that team dynamic back and to stay with the community.
So I was very fortunate. Timmy, the head coach for Piedmont, he allowed me to come back and volunteer with the team. So that was the season after I played my senior year, and I still got to, be around the girls that I played with, teammates, former teammates, and I got to help the goalkeepers, which I really loved, and I've done that for I think 2 seasons, but that's really helped, and it got me on, like, on the other side of the lines of, I was just a player, but now I get to see the coaching aspect of everything, and it was very interesting to see, the differences and just how the coaches uh, go through and their look on everything compared to like being a player and seeing it on that side.
Yeah.
That's kept me definitely closer to soccer, and I would hopefully stay closer to soccer in the industry I want to go into, which is like operations administration for soccer. Haven't made it there yet, but hopefully getting there soon.
Awesome. So what would that job entail? Like what is the description? What would you be doing?
so So I would probably work my way up to being a team administrator in a perfect world for maybe an NWSL team or an MLS team. I would love to stay in women's soccer. I have had a game day operations job in North Carolina for the North Carolina Courage. I did that for a summer and I worked game days for their games and I got to see what they do like before the game and like get the stadium ready and all that. I didn't specifically do like locker room and like player stuff because that was like one of their actual official jobs, but I got my step in the door, I got my foot in the door and I got a contact in there, so now I have a contact in the NWSL
Mhm.
and hopefully that will help me in terms going somewhere else, maybe, operations or even equipment operations. I'm a very organized person. I would love to help bring like ease to the players for the teams. Make it just easy for them to come to practice, play the games, play the best they can do. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's so special because I don't think enough people realize how much work goes into making a sporting event happen and making like a team function the way that it does. So that's such a like an underrated job. I feel like I don't hear very often. But that's super interesting that you shared that. And what made you want to get into that?
Um, so I majored in sports and fitness administration. So I took health science classes, but also business classes. I greatly liked the business classes better than the health science. So definitely going the business route. I did my senior capstone on uh, the differences between salary, media coverage, and amenities in select professional sports. So that included like women's basketball, men's basketball, the U.S. women's national team, men's national team, and MLS teams, and then NWSL teams. And I looked at, the differences. All of the men's outweighed the women's, and I have a passion for hoping to bring change in the future for women's sports to get us to meet the men's sports. So
Yeah, I love it. I think that's such a great career path for anyone who's so passionate about sports, especially like their sport that they love, because if you're not passionate about something, then why are you doing like
yeah.
that job, you know? And you're just going to be way better at it when you love what you're doing. So that is great. And I'm so glad that you shared that. The last thing, well, one of the last things I wanted to talk about was you, Miranda, are one of the most passionate people I know about US women's sports, especially the US women's national team. I know
Yeah.
you have all the gear, you watch every single game, you love it, which is so fun.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, how has being able to see their games, follow them on social media, and just connect with them through the media, how has that helped you stay connected to your sport?
Yeah. So throughout the years, I've met players, I've had autographs, I've been to 9 games, including open training sessions, and one of those games was the 2015 World Cup quarterfinal, in Ottawa. So that was a very, very great experience. But keeping up with them on social media, I've have gotten responses from some of the girls on the team, and that's just like, oh my gosh, like fangirling a little, but um, just seeing how they impact, I guess, younger girls and just players and people across the world, and what they do like on and off the field is just amazing, and they're advocating for like equal pay, and they finally got that, so it's amazing to see that.
Yeah, I think it's so cool because the media really connects people together. It's so awesome to be able to like watch videos of the US women's national team, like them mic'd up, and then
Yeah.
like just watch all kinds of videos of them being goofy and having fun. And it
Mhm.
makes you still feel like you're like part of a team and like you're able to like connect because we've had so many goofy moments as a team like at Piedmont,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
together. So it's so fun to just like hold on to that aspect of it, but also the media does connect so many people and has made the change that you've talked about. So it's really cool, especially for what you want to do, to be able to see that firsthand.
Yeah.
So I love that. Um, what is your go-to media platform when you're like watching sports or you're um trying to stay connected or updated?
Um, I would say so Instagram, but more like info updates for sports teams, possibly Twitter.
Mhm.
Um, but usually, I watch them on I think they're using a different streaming services now, like for the games. But um, I try and get or go out to a place where they're showing the game if I don't get it. So um, it's great that they're expanding their media coverage to different streaming services because that's like another step in the positive direction of showing women's sports. So
Yeah, and also like what you just mentioned, how you go to places to watch the game, and that is one of that's such a fun atmosphere to be in because you're surrounded by people who also love soccer, and so that's great, like what media coverage can do. So that's a really great point that you just added. Um, but the last question I wanted to ask is if you have any lasting advice for anyone about to transition out of their sport. I know it might help me too because I am a senior graduating in 3 months. So anything that you want to say or any experience that you have that you think would be valuable for the listeners or for me?
okay, um, I'm not gonna lie, it will be tough. But you gotta try and keep the best positive aspect and outlook on things, and you've had this sport your whole life. um Even if you can't play on like a team like I'm doing, hopefully you can like go to a park or something if you still want to like get touches on the ball, and like hopefully there's a goal at a park or something that you shoot on, and just get still sort of play the game that you've played like your whole life. But it's hard, but it's definitely a change. But as years go on, and you will kind of get into a different not schedule, but
It'll be
different.
more normal.
Yeah, be more normal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think that's great too because a lot of sports are easy to keep up with, like basketball, for example. Like you can just find a basketball hoop. Soccer, you can just go out into the park, start dribbling, get some touches. And there's a lot of sports you can really just keep going on your own time. So that is great words from you, Miranda. Great advice. Um, and thank you so much for joining me. This was my third episode of my Zoom series, After the Play Ends, Hanging the Cleats Up. Join me next week, Friday at 4 for my next episode. But thank you so much, Miranda.
you're welcome.